All right, gang. So in this lesson, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking the base level shapes that we did, and we're going to begin making some adjustments to these. So now what we want to do, because we work non-destructively in layers, let's go ahead and go to the river. And I'm going to add in a little bit of different texture here. This is kind of when you'd use this. I'm going to go ahead and add in a noise adjustment. Now you see as I increase this noise adjustment, what it does to that river. That is pretty cool. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to keep that. I really like that sparkling, noisy type of look on that layer. Now, if you don't have to use it. Now the trick is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to alpha lock my layer. So I'm coming up here and I'm alpha locking my layer. I'm coming over to my airbrush, and I use my soft airbrush for a whole bunch. I'm now going to grab my darker blue, and I'm going to begin just painting ever so subtly on this river to get kind of the idea that we're moving down the river here. You see what this is doing? Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and shrink this down. And I'm going to throw in just a couple motion lines here. Just a few motion lines to let everybody know that it's water. Okay. Now I'm going to go over to this area here, and I'm going to add in some white lines as well. Now, if you're saying, well, that's not a purist Flatscape, do whatever works for you. I like it. I'm going to do it. You don't have to do it. All right. Now, we're going to go into this area here. We're going to drop this down a little bit. We're making sure our soft airbrush is still there. And now I'm going to go ahead and find this dark mountain at the background here. And I'm going to go ahead and just add a little bit to this mountain as well. Now you see I don't really have a great color of brown there. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to undo that. It's not quite dark enough as I want it to be. So I'm going to go down here. There we go. And now I'm going to go ahead and just work through that guy right there because that's where he overlaps. All right, perfect. Now onto this gentleman here. Let's go ahead and grab this mountain. And because alpha lock is on, I can really paint on these things without having to worry about it. I might have the wrong mountain selected. That would help. Okay, now you see that's still the wrong shade of brown. I'm not too thrilled with that. I need to get a little bit more contrast in there. There we go. Again, folks, no substitute for being able to do a soft shade with this thing, all right? This is just a matter of practice. There's no magic bullet that's going to get you good at soft shading. All right, and onto this guy. So once you're good with this, I would encourage you guys, go ahead, adjust out some of these mountains, figure out what you want to do, shade them out a little bit. This isn't quite shell shading. This is more of just a simple, how do I put this? It's just adding contour to it. That's really what it is. Now, when we look at the trees, here's what we're going to do with the trees. We're going to go ahead and we're going to grab that tree color. We're going to drop this down. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to alpha lock each one of these trees. That way, whichever one I decide to paint on, they're all alpha locked. Alpha lock in Flatscapes, folks, is your friend. All right, so they're all alpha locked. Now I just go down the list and I start filling in trees. All right, now you see how my brush might be a little bit too small. I'm going to crank down the opacity. I'm going to crank up the size a little bit because I want a good... All right. All right, looks good there. And you guys have seen this show before. This is nothing new. Okay, now you see how I'm filling in this side of the Flatscape, and the reason is by design, the lights, which we're going to do next, are coming off the other side. So I don't want to get in the moonlight and have a problem where I have moonlight that's not reflected in. Now, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to change it up a little bit. I'm going to put down a nice kind of a greenish tint on that light there. Perfect. And now I'm going to start back on this side. And this is really what's going to differentiate those trees from the background. I'm not happy with that. There we go. All right. Just tap those ones that are in the far back. I want it to be shown, but I don't want it. Oh, I didn't want to erase them. There we go. See the effect we get there? All right, so there's no real perfect way to do this. It's totally up to whatever you really like and whatever looks good to you. Now, you see here, we've got a problem where the river is on top of the tree, so we have to redo the river. There we go. All right, now we're just gonna put that guy there. All right, and one more. All right, you see how we're using all of the techniques that we've learned in order to pull this off? Now, in the next lesson, what we're going to do, we're going to finish up the mountains, we're going to add some highlights to the mountains, and we're going to focus on the moon and the background. All right, folks, we'll see you in the next lesson.